We're live. Sorry, wee bit of gremlins. I'm doing the bit that Jem normally does. Good evening and welcome to Series 3 of I Write. On the week, that big week in politics really, the week that Nicola Sturgeon resigned and Douglas Ross used it as an excuse to start a recruitment drive for the Conservative Party, where he put himself up as an example of what's to be a top Tory, and there was thousands of people turned out to the launch of this Douglas Ross initiative, as you can see by the picture here. But anyway, joining me tonight is my good friend and one of Scotland's best poets, Mr. Shaun. Shaun?
Good evening, Graham. It's good to see you again, my man. It's been a funny old winter, hasn't it?
It certainly has. Unfortunately, James unable to join us tonight. She's got a few personal things she sort out, but hopefully she will be back quicker than you can say Douglas Ross is a Conservative. But anyway, we'll do the show, and hopefully we've got a nice wee show planned for you. And we've decided to start off with a whole new feature for you. So I'm really about this. I know Shaun hasn't slept for a few nights, and I'm sure you'll love it. We're in the awards season at the moment. We've had the Emmys, the Grammys. I don't know for Oscars because I don't watch any of them, but the Brits. What else you get, Shaun? You know what I mean? You get all these awards. But we've decided that we are going to launch our own award series, and we've decided to call it the Brassos. And basically, we are looking for the biggest brass neck in Scotland. Or politics in general. So we're going to have 5 nominations over the next few weeks, and so let's just get into the Brassos. Exciting stuff, eh? Okay, let's have a look at our first.
We were going to call it the Brits because
proved incredibly divisive.
Man there in the blue suit.
I share the view with a former Lord Advocate that the Treaty of Union, as an international treaty, is in perpetuity and cannot be broken in any event. So independence should constitutionally never happen.
Okay, woman here in the blue sweater.
I think when you look at the planning and all the discussion that's gone on, I do question whether they actually have a vision of how it would look to be separated from the UK.
This is the SNP you're talking about.
The SNP.
Well, fantastic, Shaun. That's our first nomination, and it's BBC question time.
Right.
What do you think about that?
I thought, right, I wasn't sure it's question time or nominating. I thought it was just the whole population of Little England that think they know better than us, man. Do you know, it's just a sheer arrogance, isn't it? It's a sheer absolute arrogance of it. I'm like just Mr. and Mrs. Average Little Englander knows more than the whole of the nationalist movement, than all the SNP's lawyers, politicos, half the population of Scotland. Oh, we never thought of that. Thank God you're here. Oh, man. It takes me right back to the Proclaimers song. Can't understand why we let someone else rule our land. Because they know better than us. Because we can't think for ourselves. Oh, it really was. Yeah. Just gammon know-it-alls, man. Aye. And who are these Little Englanders, man? They're the people that get fooled by... They voted on the basis of a poster on the side of a bus and shot themselves in the foot. Now they can't get any tomatoes. And they're telling us we don't know what we're doing.
We should have called it the tomato. Giving them a Brasso, we should have given them a tomatoes award. But we'd said before, obviously, the latest crisis.
I think that is an actual award. There is a Rotten Tomatoes award for bad movies or something like that. It's been going for a good while. The Rotten Tomatoes Award. We'll just say like any Tomatoes Award. Thanks very much. Aye.
How much?
Oh, and
For a Rotten Tomato these days, eh?
it's the
You
fact
kill
that
for a Rotten Tomato.
also the fact that the folk with the banner that you showed there, the folk with the banner, that element of Scottish society actually believe that these people do know better, that these question time plants do know better, and we should be trusting ourselves to them. It's the fact that these guys will proudly shout, "Shut your independence up!" It's like, what other country in the world would shout, "Stick your independence up here"? We don't want to be independent. How do you connect with that mentality, man?
Yeah, the thing that got me about it was, like, if you want to, well, up here we're pretty wise to question time. Obviously, down south, I would think, or maybe not get the same view of it as us. But as she asks a couple of panelists what they think about a Scottish independence dead, and then she goes, right, okay, let's go to a random member of the audience, the gentleman there in the blue suit. Right, we're talking about the middle of Little Englandshire here in rugby, and here's a guy that's talking about the treaty. He knows more about Scottish politics than half the SMPs in Holyrood, just by chance he goes to him, and then he's over to another wee woman in rugby who just happens to think that we haven't thought this through. We've been sitting here for 300 trying to figure this out, and she thinks,
silly job.
I mean, how are you going to get on without our pork pies? I mean, we can't get their tomatoes now. They're obviously keeping their tomatoes for themselves and no sending them up here. Maybe they're punishing us. Yeah.
Silly jokes, man.
Yeah,
silly jokes. But you know what? We're having a go at these little Englanders that just inherently, innately, genetically are brought up to think they are superior to the daft jocks and the daft taffies and the daft mix. But actually, I think it does reflect on question time because, our eyes are wide open and we're not. We're getting our information from elsewhere. And you go on Twitter, you go on Facebook, and every time Mary Black does something or Nicola does something, you've got all these thousands of English folks saying, "Oh, I wish they were ours. You're so lucky having that party instead of Labour. What a fighter Mary is, how clever Nicola is, I wish they were ours." So actually there is a lot of respect for our politicals. They might not want us to split, or the Gammons might be fighting a bit. There is a lot of respect for our politicals down there. So even then, it just shows you question time up to their usual old tricks. It really is, man. I've difficulty seeing the difference, seeing the join between question time and a Tory party political broadcast. They're just so similar, man. It's the same random people that they bring out.
So I thought it was a party political for the Tory party all these years. Jock Thompson's put a wee comment up here saying they'll need Brasso to polish all the turds in the water. Very good. Right, okay, so that's our first nomination for Brasso.
Aye. I'm glad Jocks came back and joined us again, man. He was a great contributor last series, so he was. He's a good lad. Great contributor last series.
Guys, if you've got any comments that we can stick up, just let us know and we'll stick them up there. Anything relevant. If there's anybody that you would like to nominate for the Brasso moving forward, we need 5 nominations. Obviously, question time's the first one, and I think it's going to be a tough one to beat. Well, no, really. Start looking at the Tories in Scotland, there's quite a few good candidates for that, or even in the Labour Party now. So same thing these days. Right, okay then. So that's us finished with the Brasso for week 1. Our first nomination's in. A familiar old topic now for round 2. Here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's Store of the Week!
Okay, on a minute, I'm kind of behind myself here, right? Let's just see. We've got 10 doors again for you to choose from. It's an exciting time. That's obviously choosing a door. What door do you fancy going for this week, Shaun? And we'll see what's behind it.
You know, I recognised that guy with a battering ram. I saw him down at Aldi's this morning. There was a big wagon coming with a delivery of salad. They were all like that, battering the door down to get to it. Week one, door one. What do you think? Door one and week one.
I thought he was breaking into a house because somebody telling him there was a tomato in the fridge. But hey, right, door one, week one. Let's see what's behind door one.
I am announcing my intention to step down as First Minister and leader of my party. If this was just a question of my ability or my resilience to get through the latest period of pressure, I wouldn't be standing here today. But it's not. This decision comes from a deeper and longer term assessment. I know it might seem sudden, but I have been wrestling with it, albeit with oscillating levels of intensity for some weeks.
That was a surprise. I bet you didn't expect to get that story this week, eh? That was a coincidence. So yeah, Nicola Sturgeon resigns, and obviously backlash on that. Obviously, apparently the other part, even the Tories, see this as an opportunity, as we've seen from Douglas Ross launching his recruitment drive at the start of the show. But yeah, what would you make of the resignation and the reaction from it?
It was a surprise, man. The reaction actually it's been quite funny. I would rather it hadn't happened, but I would have liked a bit of continuity and. But a lot of folk showing their colours on both sides. A lot of folk backtracking as well. Careful what you wish for. The funniest thing was, I think, was the unionist side think that's it, it's all over. Ding dong, the witch is dead, and that's independence dead in the water as well. I need to prove them wrong, eh?
I see the Steele's put a comment up, evening all, just having my tea. Bet she's having tomatoes. Eh?
Sure.
Bet she's got a few tomatoes in there. That's why she's telling us she's having her tea. But you're having a tomato salad, eh? What's it be like now moving forward though without tomatoes? Yeah, anyway, sorry, back to Nicola Sturgeon resigning. What a shocker. And obviously what an opportunity for the Labour. Anis is jumping out his bed in the morning now thinking that we're all going back to Scottish Labour because obviously we were all under the spell of Nicola Sturgeon. She had us all spellbound. Now she's gone. We're all running about giving it right. Okay, that's it. Let's Tory party or the other, well, whatever Tory party you want to join, whether it's the Red Tories or the Blue Tories. Given your choice, Shaun, what one would you join?
I think I'll just give up in politics altogether, man. You know, I was quite into this indie thing, invested quite a lot of time in it and everything like that. So I think I'll just give up, man, because it's just too confusing now. If somebody was to ask me to pick between Labour and the Tories, I think I'm quite politically aware, but I don't think I would know how to differentiate between the two of them. So that would be just a bit too confusing for me. Indie was simple. A country should run its own affairs, self-determination. That was simple to me. That was of course you should. Actually getting into the nitty gritty, I find the difference between Labour and Tory now. That's Brian Walden stuff. I'm not sure I've got that mental capacity. I think next week we should just do a different podcast, mate. We should just do a podcast on something else. A live vegetable option.
Tomatoes.
A live fruit and veg option.
Tomatoes. No, I think that'll resonate down in England. You know, the fact that now that Nicola's gone, that we don't know what to do because we're all that stupid. Indy was kind of at our mental level, you know, it was either yes or no. Do you know, there was none of this, do you want to leave Brexit or staying? But it was, yeah, you want Indy, and that's obviously as much as we can take in. This trying to differentiate between the Labour Party and the Conservative Party is probably just a wee bit too much for our Scottish brains, you know. But aye, so we've got a wee leadership contest coming up, Shaun. Anybody there for you?
It's an interesting one, isn't it? And again, we're beating each other up. We're getting over the minutiae, you know. What church did you belong to, and what did you vote 5 years ago on this issue and that issue? To me, you know, no matter what any of these guys have done, I mean, they're still a damn sight better than what we're dealing with down there. But the absolute brilliance of the British media, that they just chuck a wee grenade in and all these Scots are fighting among themselves as usual. Aye, it's an important debate. But by God, to get distracted about the silly little things. Aye. But it'll be interesting. I've not made my mind up. You made your mind up yet?
No, somebody else is going to come in tomorrow. But yeah, I think a lot of it's been meddling by the media. But I don't really know where we're going to go here. But whoever we get, Scott, I mean, it's just all going to settle down again, isn't it?
Aye, and hopefully we will get our hands to the pump again. Where I mean, yeah, the debate is necessary and it's brilliant and it's healthy, but it's critical, man. It's critical because this mob are just one step away from shutting down Holyrood. The only reason we got Holyrood was because the Europeans told the Brits, by the way, you should have a bit more regional representation here. Never mind that statue of Donald Dewar or whatever, or John Smith. Labour would have been quite happy for us not to have Holyrood, and the longer the Tories are in and getting more and more emboldened, passing laws to outlaw protests and stuff like that, the longer they're in there, they're just getting more and more bold by the minute. They'll shut it down, no bother. And then independence will be dead in the water, man.
Yeah. And then something you came up with earlier, they throw a grenade in there and we're all fighting ourselves, and somebody put a post up, and it's brilliant because this is what all the bots are doing at the moment. I don't agree with this SNP policy, so I'm not going to be voting for independence, you know. Like, some little policy is going to be your destiny. But anyway.
And I think yeah, people will put the GRA stuff, the identity stuff, the minor nuances about slightly left or slightly right. I think when it comes to the big question again, people will put all that to the side. But if we're not careful, we'll not get a chance to ask this question, because all the machinery will be removed. Jock Tamson's just pointed out the similarities in names to Messrs. Sarwar and Starmer. So
I'm missing a few of these.
It didn't take as long to get into the toilet jokes again, didn't it? That's 5 minutes into the new series. You're certainly letting us down, folks. Thank you. Just another wee comment. Oh, Graham, this may be more pertaining to yourself. It's for the producers, or actually the wardrobe department at Independence Live.
Or is this my designer clothing?
Just a wee bit of advice on your hat, mate, aye.
Oh, where's this coming from? I'm kind of trying. Anus and geek made for each other. All right, okay. Got it, aye, okay. Aye, Evelyn's saying that the candidates cannot handle the media that stays 5 minutes as First Minister. I know what you're saying. I mean, Nicola Sturgeon was a phenomenal First Minister, and you know, who the future holds. But I think, yeah, I can't disagree with Evelyn, but it's always difficult when I've not done the job to see how we in it. We'll just need to get behind whoever it is, because at the end of the day, it's a vehicle to independence, and then, you know, we'll all probably go our separate ways and sin amongst ourselves. Whether, you know, I know Shaun will be off to the Tory party, and I'll be off to somewhere else. I'm going to be a Liberal. I think in an independent Scotland, I'll be a Liberal. I've always wanted to be a Liberal.
Aye.
Do you know what I mean?
Just sit on the fence. Just sit on the fence. No matter what other side wins, you can.
I'll go with them. Aye, it must be good. Must be nice to be a Liberal. Eh? But aye, so
Independence Live.
Wait, what happens?
Independence Live. I made the comment about we need more young folk to get more young folk engaged in politics, and that was the beautiful thing about the 2014 referendum was we did. It was the 16s to 18s got involved. Folk voted for the first time in their buff in a lot of cases, and then scared them away with all the old bigots. To guys of our age, to Generation X, Generation the Boomers or whatever. It's a lot to get your head around, a lot of the GRA stuff, but to the Gen Zers and the millennials, it's a no-brainer. It's taken for granted, and although there's a very, very vocal element complaining about it, I think as far as the 16 to 18-year-olds go, this has been a master stroke, all the identity stuff, and hopefully they'll stay on board. Which again is maybe I think why Kate Forbes is getting so much negative attention, because we've already won over all these progressive people that are wanting more tolerance for minorities, for genders, and then bump. Oh, look at your new leader, she's a wee free man, she doesn't even like homosexuality or children born without wedlock. He's going, you better leave the party. Hopefully folk will see through it. That's exactly. I think that's exactly why Kate is getting so much flack now and fallout for that. Hey, we'll move on to something else next week, I'm sure.
I'm just reading this independence comment here, Shaun. You know, we need a lot more young folk. I think they're maybe talking about me there, but I would just like to say, you know, I'm a wee bit busy at the moment. I'm not able to put myself forward. I'd imagine, but so we should move on. I think. Will we get any more comments here? Independence really can't come soon enough. Oh, come on! You're just wanting tomatoes, man. You're trying to get to EU so you can get tomatoes. That's what that's about. I want to be a sherbet dab. Independence Live. Okay, as long as we all vote the right way, we're all going to vote the right way. They can say what they like, but that's the way it's going. I can't see. I've never met anybody that was going to vote for it. I haven't honestly come across anyone who voted for independence in 2014 who said that they're not going to vote for it next time. Have you, Shaun? Have you ever came across anybody that's...
Never.
Have you?
Never. I've never came across anybody going the other direction. And I realise I'm maybe in a bit of a bubble. But no, I've never, except for the odd bot that claims to do it. You know, you'll get the odd profile on Facebook it's usually a Spitfire or a guy with a big fish and poppies on it and all that, and they say, aye, Nicholas put me off. I was SNP all my life and blah blah blah. Nah, I've never met a real person that is going backwards. And again, we're all complaining about the time scale. You know, that's 9 years down. We're no further forward. Without being too blunt and horrible about it, there's a lot of old right-wing gamins have died in that time. The Daily Mail readership has went down like that, you know, and then there's a lot more Waynes coming up who are into the more progressive policies. So I'm pretty sure we'll get it.
I need to tell you here, I was in the Sun last week, right? I was actually
looking well, mate.
The Sun myself. Because I don't buy the paper, right? But I'm in Edinburgh. I was doing a video in Edinburgh, and this woman came up to me and says, Nicholas Sturgeon resigned yesterday. Can I get your comments on it? She says, I'm from the Sun. I says, you're not going to want my comments on it. She says, oh, no, we're wanting every comments. I said, well, firstly, I hate your newspaper. And secondly, you're not going to print anything that I say. So she said, I says, well, I'm raging. I says, because basically we've sat for the last 6 months and watched somebody getting bullied out of a job. Right? They just made her position tolerable. She couldn't do anything. They had her in a corner and they kept pushing, you know. She had nowhere else to go because any policy that the SNP up with was Nicola Sturgeon's policy and they were digging holes in it. So I gave them the full 3 barrels and they took my picture and all that, you know. And I really ripped into them and they reported the next day that I had said that I was taken by surprise. That was my comment. Taken by...
Nice
Anyway,
and sanitised, eh? Nice and sanitised. But yeah, you could have kept it cutting for your new album cover. I'd have made a good album cover.
Which actually
for the scum.
Without a word of a lie, the reporter said to me, I hate the paper as well, but don't say it. So, hey, but yeah, you've got to make a living, I suppose, eh? Right, so listen, we're moving on. And
do you know what? I'm actually getting another take on this now. See, we've been complaining about mainstream media not recording nor reporting our side of the argument and our views. All they do is interview gammons and air their views. Maybe it's because all our side tell them to piss off. Hello, I'm for the Sun, could you? Hello, I'm for the BBC, could you? No. Maybe they're desperate to get our views, but everybody keeps going, no. I'm only going to talk to Independence Live.
Do you know something? There's a wee bit of truth in that, maybe, because she actually looked quite surprised that I was going to speak to her. So she'd obviously been getting a lot. No, obviously, but I wouldn't be surprised if she'd been getting a lot of knockbacks because she kind of lit up when I said, I'll give you my views, but you're not going to print my views.
Oh, you're going to talk to her. To be fair, to be fair to the ambulance chasing jackal woman, you do look a bit like a Sun reader, Graham.
Right up, we're moving on. This is ripping my knitting. If you'd made that comment a bit earlier in the week, you would have been on this bit. But anyway, this is what my knitting this week.
The Labour Party has changed. Not because it was convenient to do so, not by fiddling around the edges, not just until the next person to lead the party comes along, but permanently, fundamentally, irrevocably. We have changed from a party that looked inward to a party that meets the public gaze, from a party of dogma to a party of patriotism, from a party of protest to a party of public service.
Speechless. The Labour Party has changed from a party of protest to a party of service. What would you make of that, Shaun?
Do you know what, man? I mean, I know we called that bit ripping my knitting, but it actually made me more sad than angry. Really, really sad that that's what they've came to. I mean, sometimes when Starmer opens his gob, I'm quite happy because it's like it just consolidates things in Scotland that people are never going to get back to Labour. But then I just felt those poor souls down in England, man, those poor millions and millions of people who that should be their hope. And that's what they've got. It was dogma, not dogma. No dogma, but patriotism. Dogma. Beliefs, left socialist beliefs that's what built us hospitals, man. That's what built us an NHS. That's even Blair's government, Thatcherite though they were, they still done some good. The minimum wage, they brought in the minimum wage. So even they had still a shred of socialist credentials. But this guy, man, they didn't repeal any other Thatcher stuff written off like anti-union laws. But this guy, man, it's heartbreaking, man. We're no longer the party of protest. all right, is there nothing to protest against? No, is everything all right? Is the government behaving fine? All right, okay, we'll no bother protesting. We'll just get into patriotism. I mean, I know they're trying to get that ground, that no even middle ground that the Tories got. And every time the Tories go to the right, they go a bit more to the right as well to catch it. But how are they going to compete now? I mean, that standing with the two big Union Jacks in the middle of them, we are about patriotism. I mean, if that was a Tory broadcast 5-10 years ago, you would have went, it's a bit full on that. That's where we are, man.
Aye. Well, I mean, obviously, you know, like they've nowhere to go. We've nowhere to go now, you know, for socialism. I mean, basically, what's the point of the Labour Party being there? Because they're not going to bring any socialist policies in. They're not going to renationalise the industries that all the monopolies that need to be renationalised. It's not going to happen. So, you know, the sooner we're gone, the better. But I'd love to, you know, Shaun, I'd love to bring my dad back. I'd love to bring my dad back for a day and watch his face when he heard that, you know, and then say, oh, by the way, do you know, the leader of the Labour Party of the realm? It's just, I mean, all these things, like 40 years, he wouldn't have even been in the Labour Party 40 years ago, you know. These people, I mean, the Labour Party seems to be run by a wee office down in London. If you watch the Labour files, basically, that's what it is, you know.
Aye. Watching what the Tories are doing, saying how can we compete with us? How can we catch their votes? That's all they're doing. They're just on the coattails of the Tories the whole time, man. But that's Starmer. I mean, a few of the things you were speaking about, Labour did consider doing a couple of those things 2, 3, 4 years ago. But they get rid of that guy, Corbyn, didn't they? They made sure he didn't get in, man. They crucified him. But there was another clip. There's another clip of Starmer where he was talking about how he can. I mean, I just figured he was always a Lord, he was always a Red Tory. But it was a clip of him a year or so ago, talking about the Extinction Rebellion kids. This is great. It's for you. It's your future, and that's what we need. More action, direct action. Go for it. Fast forward a year, and now he's saying, we need longer sentences for these people that glue themselves and chain themselves to roads and all that. Longer sentences for them. When the Tories brought out their anti-protest legislation just last year or year before, well, as soon as they could bring it out after Brexit, everybody was rightly up in arms and saying, oh, this is just getting too close to fascism here, man. And then when the Labour leader actually agrees with it and says that he'd do the same, it's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking. No wonder there's so many English folks saying they're going to come up here and live after Indy. What other hope have they got?
Well, I hope they do. There's a space for them, and we need, you know, good socialist people up here, I think. But I'm just looking through the comment. Linda Ross saying she admired Nicola. I think 90% of us did. You know, there was those people who were frustrated around the edges. But yeah, the independence movement is bigger than any one party or any one person. No doubt about that. I mean, you know, we do need a vehicle like the SNP to get us independence. But independence will never come from a political party. It will always come. Oh, listen to me, man. I'm sounding like a politician. But it will always be the movement, won't it? I mean, revolution is never about the people at the top. It always comes from the grassroots, and you know, the people that get victory are the ones that jump in front of the crowd, you know, and say, right, follow me. So as Boris Johnson was, maybe we should get Boris Johnson today. He'll get his independence. No, that's a joke, folks. Don't ever go at me for that. It was a bad joke actually, but
I think
right for you.
I think for the international community's satisfaction, we had to be seen to go through exhausting every parliamentary avenue, and we've done that. And Nicola was part of that, knocking her head against a brick wall, trying every avenue and getting no. I think that had to be explored before the next move. Quentin Kelly's just commented there, and he's gave a wee plug to Salvo. Look at Salvo.Scott and see some of the ideas and see some of the stuff they're talking about. That's interesting.
That's very important, but more importantly than that is, Shaun, that Edith Steele made a lamb biryani, obviously without tomatoes though.
Nice one.
That's what she's having for her tea.
Nice one.
On a serious note, check out the it's very interesting.
I do like a lamb curry. I'll get one when I'm out, but if I'm making one in the house, very seldom will I buy lamb for a curry in the house, because it's kind of dear, you know. You get your messages and everything else has jumped up in price, and the lamb's a bit heavy. That's always confused me about Scotland. Everywhere you go in Scotland, you drive past hunters of sheep. I think there's more sheep. There's more people than sheep in Scotland. It seems like it anyway when you're driving about the countryside. How is lamb so dear? I mean, but there's another issue. Why do we get New Zealand lamb for the other side of the world? All right. But why is lamb so dear in Scotland when there's it's probably the most common animal in Scotland? I don't know. Well, Brexit will be Brexit.
Maybe somebody will come up. Well, maybe there's a wee prize for the best answer to that one. Why is lamb so dear in Scotland? I used to know a band, a musician. I won't mention any names here, but it was a band that used to go about Scotland playing, and one of them was butcher, and on their way through, they would nab a sheep now and again and cut the thing up, you know, because obviously we musicians don't make a lot of money. But don't hate that wasn't me. I never ever had the lamb booner, whatever biryani with it, but they used to throw the back of the van and no names, don't mention names.
No, I was saying, was it for eating though? It wasn't part of the stage, so because I mind hearing years ago the likes of Alice Cooper and Iggy Pop and all that, King Diamond chucking bits of offal into the audience and things. It wasn't that kind of thing, no.
No, they were just starving musicians. They ate from time to time, you know, when things were tough. But anyway,
I do remember a band for Aberdeen that would always ask for a sheep on their rider, you know, with the blue M&Ms and the bottles of beer and all that, and ask for a sheep to be left in the dressing room. But it wasn't the Kymatics, it wasn't them. They're lovely people.
Well, was it not the Kymatics? Are you sure it wasn't them? Anyway, sorry. Aye, because I thought they turned up at the last rally with a wee flock of sheep. No, it was Debbie. It was wee Debbie, little Miss Debbie. Who turned up a lion, wasn't it? Walking through George Square with a lion. But anyway. Right, okay, so guys, obviously trying to do everything at once here. So the comments, I don't know if you picked any up, Shaun. I'm kind of struggling. Courts out the ball, quite right. Might get a chance at independent.
That's a good phrase, Quentin. And I remember back in 2014 when we were all breaking our heart over the result, and it was apparently the story goes it was somebody that was over in Australia watching. It was just some old geezer in a pub. But most stories for Australia about some old geezer in a pub, and he says, okay, you didn't win there, but he says you've loosened the lid in a very, very tight jar. I thought that was a really, really good way of putting it. And again, it's been brought home when you look at everything that's been thrown at Nicola Sturgeon and everything that's now getting thrown at Kate Forbes. It's a big, big, big machine we're up against here. A big, big, well-established, well-funded, powerful machine. And so just the cork is out of the bottle, man. We've loosened the jar. 8-9 years since Indiref. It's a long time for us. But when you look at the scale of history, things happen slowly and seismically, don't they, man? Colin McDonald was talking about the landowners get big money for having them on their land. Aye. There's a whole debate going on now about rewilding in Scotland and things like that, and how cost effective was it? Grazing land as opposed to natural forest land.
Chalk Thompson's wondering if the sheep were the groupies, but I think the sheep were better looking, to be honest with you. But anyway, you didn't see these
Well,
guys. They're one of the cleanest guys.
Hopefully next week the Gremlins will be away. Hopefully next week the Gremlins will be away.
Well, let's push on a wee bit anyway. So yeah, Edith asked earlier, she said we should do a sing song. And to finish off the show this week, that's basically what's going to happen. Now, we did this at the end of the last series. We had a wee... we did this wee song, me and Shaun together, based on an old Rolling Stones number. But it's quite apt again because we were talking about my knitting with Keir Starmer and obviously Anis Sarwar getting his knickers in a twist, thinking that we're all going to leave the SNP now and join the Labour Party. So here's a wee message for Anis, and hopefully you've enjoyed the show, guys, and we'll see you all next week. Sorry I couldn't get any more comments up. But yeah, Jem will be back. She's a wee bit more technically minded than me, you know, so she'll be able to fire them up. And maybe we can get Shaun in. He's got a few technical issues as well. But here we go. This is called Dead Labour.
Well, when you're sitting there in your green Westminster chairs, playing the role of nice folk in this British farce, oh, we see your hypocrisy and keeping Tory company, 'cause we know you're two cheeks of that same arse. You're going down, British Labour, going down. Legacy of Thatcher, Blair and Brown. And we will send those red Tories down upon him for all the workers they betrayed, for all the principles they're selling, and we won't forget the red roses on your grave. When you were scratching backs of the mainstream media hacks, telling lies before that referendum day, telling pensioners they're doomed, and singing Project Fierce at June. Our respect for you was finally drained away. You're going down, British Labour, going down, with Starmer and the Lords and your love of the crown. And we will send those red Tories down upon him for all the workers they betrayed, for all the principles they're selling, and we won't forget the red roses on your grave. forget the red roses lost their roots. No, we won't forget the red roses on your grave. Nice ending, buddy. Oh, shit, sorry.